Hi, welcome to EPG Pathshala Spanish. We are in the paper entitled Advanced Spanish Grammar. I am Gaurav Kumar and I teach Spanish in the Center of Spanish, Portuguese, Italian and Latin American Studies in Jawaharlal Nehru University, New Delhi. We are in the module Repaso Uno. In this previous modules, we have extensively covered the present subjunctive, starting with the verb conjugation forms till the various contexts of uses and also the present perfect subjunctive. This module will help us recapitulate all about the previous chapters and provide all relevant information in an encapsulated form. This will help us compare the related content and clarify doubts. Further, we will concretize our learning by practicing more exercises in this module, which are going to be of diverse nature and not only of a particular theme, as was the earlier case in every module. Before starting the subjunctive, we needed to understand the terms tense and moods of verbs. The tense tell you the time of the action. The tenses are present, prathrit, future, etc. Whereas the mood tells speaker's attitude towards the action. In Spanish, we have indicative, imperative, and the subjunctive as moods. The subjunctive form conjugations for AR ending verbs can be formed by following three steps. First, take the AR ending verb like example of hablar. The first yo form conjugation is hablo. Second step is to remove the final O of the yo form. And third is to add the ER ending verbs to the stem ab, and thus subjunctive conjugations will be for the verb hablar, yo hable, tú hables, él, ella, usted hable, nosotros hablemos, vosotros habléis, ellos, ellas, ustedes hablen. Notice that the first person and third person singular forms are identical. Therefore, with these forms, one has to mention the subject pronoun yo, él, ella, usted, or otherwise it can be understood from the context itself. In the case of the subjunctive conjugation with er ending verbs, the same rule applies. First form of the er ending verb comer, como. Second step, remove the final o of the yo form and then add the opposite endings of ar verb to the stem of com, and the conjugations will be yo coma, tú comas, él, ella, usted coma, nosotros comamos, vosotros comáis, ellos, ellas, ustedes coman. Notice once again that the yo and the él, ella, usted forms are similar, which may require the mentioning of the subject pronoun or otherwise can be known from the context. For the subjunctive of IR ending verbs, it is to be noted that the subjunctive for the ER ending verbs follows the same pattern of the three steps. First, let us take the example of the verb comer. First, in the yo form indicative, it is como. Second step, take off the final O of the yo form. And third step is to add AR verb endings to the stem com, and subjunctive conjugation will be yo coma, tú comas, él, ella, usted coma, nosotros comamos, vosotros comáis, ellos, ellas, ustedes coman. Notice that the first person singular and the third person singular forms are identical and may require the mentioning of the subject pronoun or otherwise can be known from the context itself. The subjunctive for the IR ending verbs same follow the pattern of three steps. First, the yo indicative form of the verb vivir. vivo. Second step, take off the final O of the yo form. And finally, add the AR ending to the stem viv. The conjugations are yo viva, tú vivas, él, ella, usted viva, nosotros vivamos, vosotros viváis, ellos, ellas, ustedes vivan. Again, notice that the first person singular and the third person singular are identical and can be understood by mentioning the subject pronoun or by the context. The stem changing AR and ER verbs have the same stem changes as in the present indicator. For example, the verb recordar becomes recuerde, recuerdes, recuerde, recordemos, recordéis, recuerden. The other example of the verb perder, it becomes in the subjunctive pierda, pierdas, pierda, perdamos, perdáis, pierdan. Remember that stem changes do not apply to nosotros and vosotros forms. You may recall the third person singular and plural changes that occur in the preterith of stem changing IR verbs. For example, the verb dormir, when conjugated in preterith, becomes dormí, dormiste, durmió, dormimos, dormisteis, durmieron. The same changes occur in the nosotros and vosotros form of the subjunctive, and the conjugations are duerma, duermas, duerma, durmamos, durmais, duerman. These changes occur only in stem changing IR verbs. The following spelling changes occur in all forms of the present subjunctive with verbs whose infinitives end in CAR, GAR and ZAR. For the CAR endings, in the example buscar, the C changes to QU in the subjunctive conjugation. Hence the conjugations are busque, busques, busque, busquemos, busquéis, busquen. In the GAR endings, the G changes into GU. Like in the example llegar, the subjunctive conjugations are llegue, llegues, llegue, lleguemos, lleguéis, lleguen. In the case of the ZAR ending, the Z changes to C. The verb is empezar. In the subjunctive, it becomes empiece, empieces, empiece, empecemos, empecéis, empiecen. The forms of the subjunctive. There are only 6 truly irregular forms, that is, verbs to which we cannot apply our 3-step process. The verbs are dar, ir, ser, haber, estar, saber. When listed in the following order, there are only 6 truly irregular verbs, that is, verbs to which we cannot apply our 3-step process. When listed in the following order, the initial letters of each verb forms the acronym DISHES, a useful memory device. Dar, ir, ser, haber, estar, saber. The verb in the reflexive sentirse, which means to feel, is conjugated in the subjunctive in the following manner. Yo me sienta, tú te sientas, él, ella, usted se sienta, nosotros nos sentamos, vosotros os sentáis, ellos, ellas, ustedes se sientan. For the first set of usages, we need to know the concept of a clause. A clause is a group of words that contains a subject and a predicate and forms a sentence or part of a sentence. A sentence may have one or more main clauses and similarly may consist of one or more dependent clauses or none at all. The sentence quiero que tú compres las flores. In this sentence, we know that the main verb is querer, want or quiero, and its subject is yo. So, it is the main clause as depending on this clause that the second half of the sentence is having definite meaning. The second part, tú compres las flores, in English, you to buy the flowers, is the dependent clause. Its verb is comprar, conjugated in the subjunctive as compres as per the subject tú. In Spanish, the subjunctive mood is used for the verb in the dependent clause when the following rules are followed. Rule 1. When the subject of the main clause is different from the subject of the dependent clause. Example, yo espero que ella venga a la fiesta. Main clause subject is yo and dependent clause subject is ella. With verbs of desire, subjunctive is used when the verb in the main clause expresses a wish, preference, want, or need with regard to other people, then the dependent clause takes up the subjunctive. Main clauses such as desear que, preferir que, querer que, necesitar que will require subjunctive in the dependent clause. Necesito que me ayudes en preparar el informe anual. I need you to help me prepare the annual report. The rule 2.2 is with the verbs of emotion. Verbs that in the main clause express hope, happiness, sadness, fear or regret with regard to other people will require the subjunctive mood in the dependent clause. Main clauses such as alegrarse de que, estar contento de, esperar que, estar triste de que, gustarle a uno que, molestarle a uno que, sentir que, temer que, tener miedo de que, all these examples will demand the use of the subjunctive in the dependent clause. Sample sentences are: Me alegro de que usted asista la reunión. I am happy that you are attending the meeting. Espero que apruebes el examen de matemáticas. I hope you pass the mathematics exam. El profesor está contento de que los alumnos asistan sus clases con frecuencia. The professor is happy that the students attend his classes regularly. La gente tiene miedo de que el nuevo gobierno no cumpla con sus promesas. People are afraid that the new government may not fulfill its promises. Rule 2.3 Verbs of Influence. If the main clause has verbs that express order, request, or advice for other people, then the dependent clause takes up the subjunctive. Main clauses such as aconsejar que, dejar que, mandar que, permitir que, sugerir que, decir que, insistir en que, pedir que, prohibir que, recomendar que, all these will require the subjunctive in the dependent clause. Sample sentences are: Te aconsejo que dejes de fumar. I advise you to stop smoking. Le pido a mi padre que me compre una nueva camiseta. I ask my father to buy me a new t-shirt. Insiste en que comprendamos su problema. He insists that we understand his problem. Some verbs can either indicate influence and thus take the subjunctive, or indicate reporting and thus take the indicative. Ella dice que nos vamos. She says we are leaving. It is reporting a fact. That is why indicative is used. Next example. Ella dice que nos vayamos. She is telling us to leave. She is giving us a command. That is why subjunctive is used. Certain verbs of influence may be used either with the subjunctive or an infinitive, even when there is a change of subject. The infinitive is more frequent when the subject of the dependent verb is a pronoun. Such verbs include hacer, to make someone do something, permitir, to permit, and dejar, to let, to allow. With the infinitive, the examples are Nadie me hace llorar. Nobody makes me cry. Déjame trabajar en paz. Let me work in peace. Ellas no nos permiten jugar. They don't permit us to play. With the subjunctive, nadie hace que los estudiantes piensen en su carrera. No one makes the students think about their career. Deja que las chicas estudien en paz. Let the girls study in peace. Ellas no permiten que los músicos practiquen. They don't permit the musicians to practice. The verbs of doubt and negation, when present in the main clause, require the subjunctive in the dependent clause. Some clauses are dudar que, negar que, no estar seguro de que, es incierto que, no es cierto que. Sample sentences are dudan que yo hable español. They doubt that I speak Spanish. Ella niega que su hermano sea el ladrón. She denies that her brother is the thief. No estoy seguro de que él pueda reparar el portátil. I am not sure that he can repair the laptop. In case of certain verbs in the main clause, the subjunctive is not used and the dependent clause takes up the indicative. Such examples are no dudar que, no hay duda que, es cierto que, estar seguro de que, no cabe duda que. These expressions imply certainty and hence the indicative is used. No cabe duda que hoy es lunes. There is no doubt that today is Monday. The verbs pensar and clave. With these verbs, there is a cultural difference that needs to be understood by learners of Spanish with English language background. Pensar means to think and clave means to believe in English. An English speaker uses the verbs to think and to believe when he doesn't know for certain whether something is true or will happen. In case of Spanish, when the speaker states that he/she thinks or believes something is true, then there is more certainty and hence the indicative is used. Some examples are el profesor cree que los alumnos practican la gramática española todos los días. The professor believes that the students practice Spanish grammar every day. Creo que nuestros vecinos son japoneses. I think our neighbors are Japanese. Mis padres piensan que el médico es culpable. My parents think that the doctor is at fault. Pensar and Clave, when express a negation, then in that case it implies an element of uncertainty in the speaker's mind, and hence the subjunctive is used in the dependent clause. No creer que is the same as to not believe that and will require the subjunctive, like no pensar que, which means to not think that, will require the subjunctive in the dependent clause. No creo que él lo haya hecho. I don't believe that he has done it. Subjunctive with impersonal expressions. In Spanish, there are many expressions that are considered impersonal because they do not have a specific person as the subject in the first clause of the sentence. They are always conjugated in the third person singular form, él, ella, and usted form because the subject is it. The general format for such clauses is es followed by adjective and then by que. Es plus adjective plus que plus the dependent clause. An impersonal expression needs to express wishes, emotions, impersonal expressions, recommendations, doubt or denial, and ojalá in order to be followed by the subjunctive. In the same order as mentioned, they can be memorized as an acronym VERDO. Impersonal expressions that require the subjunctive. Let us remember some examples. Es importante que saludes a tus amigos. It is important that you greet your friends. Ya eres mayor de edad y no es importante que siempre pidas permiso a tus padres. You are an adult now and it is not important to always ask for parents' permission. Es incierto que venga mi hermana para mi cumpleaños. It is uncertain that my sister comes for my birthday. Es increíble que duermas casi todo el día. It is incredible that you sleep almost the whole day. Es interesante que los profesores también jueguen al fútbol con los alumnos. Es inútil que there is no point in. Es inútil que vayan ahora, ya es muy tarde. There is no point that you all go now, it's too late. Es una lástima que no vayas a la fiesta. It's a pity that you aren't going to the party. Es malo que, it is bad that, es malo que los seres humanos contaminemos nuestro medio ambiente. It is bad that we human beings pollute our environment. The following impersonal expressions are not used with the subjunctive in the affirmative sentence, but if used in the negative, they can take up the subjunctive form. In the indicative, let us see the examples. Está claro que el ladrón le miente al policía. It is clear that the thief is lying to the policeman. Es cierto que no tenemos bastante tiempo. It is certain that we don't have enough time. Es evidente que las tarifas cambian. It is evident that the tariffs change. Es una realidad que el calentamiento global ha llegado a niveles peligrosos. It is a reality that global warming has reached dangerous levels. Es verdad que tú mereces buenas notas. It is true that you deserve good grades. The case of the subjunctive with indefinite antecedent. The subjunctive is used in relative clauses when the antecedent is indefinite. If the antecedent is definite, the indicative is used. ¿Conoce usted a alguien que hable español? Do you know anybody who speaks Spanish? No hay nadie que lo sepa. There is no one who knows it. No hay ninguna profesión que pague bien. There is no profession that pays well. The subjunctive is used with the negative expressions as the statement is considered to be an unrealistic exaggeration. In the case of the antecedent being known, then indicative is used. Conozco a una secretaria que hable español. I know a secretary who knows Spanish. Coming to the next set of subjunctive uses with the conjunctions of time. The subjunctive is used with adverbial conjunctions of time when the verb of the main clause is in the future, since you cannot say if the action of the adverbial clause will actually take place. However, when the verb is in the past, then indicative is used since the action has already been realized. Common adverbial conjunctions of time are cuando, hasta que, en cuanto, tan pronto como, mientras, siempre que, antes de que, después de que. The subjunctive is used after the above mentioned conjunctions if the main clause has a different subject than the dependent clause. Él practica yoga antes de jugar al fútbol. He practices yoga before playing football. In the above sentence, there is only one single subject for both the verbs practicar and jugar. Hence, indicative is used. Be careful while using the above conjunctions as they also frequently take up the indicative when the statement is about a completed action or about a general or habitual occurrence. Cuando hace frío, los niños juegan en la nieve. When it is cold, the children play in the snow. Hasta que no lo vieron, no lo creyeron. Until they saw it, they did not believe it. Siempre que voy a Barcelona, visito el Catedral de Montserrat. Every time I go to Barcelona, I visit the Montserrat Cathedral. Mientras que trabajo en el ordenador, también escucho música. While I work on the computer, I also listen to music. En cuanto llegaron a la India, fueron a visitar Taj Mahal. As soon as they arrived in India, they went to visit the Taj Mahal. Antes de que always takes up the subjunctive, whether in the present or the past. Ellos saldrán antes de que lleguemos. This is present subjunctive. They will leave before we arrive. Ellos salieron antes de que llegáramos. This is past subjunctive. They left before we arrived. Conjunctions of purpose that take up subjunctive are de manera que, de modo que, para que, a fin de que. Hay que darle tiempo para que se acostumbre al nuevo ambiente. One must give him time to get used to the new ambience. Riega las plantas a fin de que crezcan las flores. He waters the plants so that the flowers grow. Other conjunctions that take the subjunctive are sin que, con tal de que, en caso de que, a menos que, a pesar de que. Lo podré hacer sin que nadie me ayude. I will be able to do it without anybody helping me. Mi padre me comprará una nueva moto con tal de que saque buenas notas. My father will buy me a new bike provided that I score good grades. Subjunctive after aunque and porque. The subjunctive is used after adjective and adverbial expressions introduced by aunque and por. as they may imply uncertainty. Often, with these expressions, the speaker himself determines whether to use the subjunctive or not, depending on the idea he or she wishes to convey. The indicative is used with aunque in case it introduces a sentence or question that expresses a known fact, a repeated action, or a general statement in the present. Also, in sentences, they convey certain difficulty or obstacle. The use of the indicative with aunque reflects that the speaker is determined. Ayer, aunque no tenía ganas, fui de compras con mi madre. Yesterday, although I didn't feel like, I went shopping with my mother. Aunque es verano, la mujer siempre lleva guantes. Although it is summer, the woman always wears gloves. Subjunctive is used if the action is incomplete or there is uncertainty, then we use in the dependent clause the subjunctive. Saldré, aunque llueva. I will go out, although it may rain. Aunque sea difícil, yo intentaré hacerlo. Although it may be difficult, I will try doing it. Aunque no me guste ella, pero iré a la fiesta con ella. Although I may not like her, but I will go to the party with her. Por mucho que estudies, no aprobarás el examen. No matter how much you study, you will not pass the exam. After acaso, tal vez, or quizás, and ojalá, the subjunctive is used. To express a possibility or hypothesis, subjunctive is used with the expression of acaso, tal vez, or quizás. Seguramente, probablemente, posiblemente. These expressions can take up the indicative depending upon the conviction of the speaker. The indicative cases use acaso, quizás, tal vez with indicative form to express certainty. Tal vez volverán mañana los alumnos a pedir donación. Perhaps the student will return tomorrow to ask for donation. The indicative is used with aunque in case it introduces a sentence or question that expresses a known fact, a repeated action, or a general statement in the present. Also, in sentences that convey certain difficulty or obstacle, the use of the indicative with aunque reflects that the speaker is determined to act. Ayer, aunque no tenía ganas, fui de compras con mi madre. Yesterday, although I didn't feel like, I went shopping with my mother. Aunque es verano, la mujer siempre lleva guantes. Although it is summer, the woman always wears gloves. If the action is incomplete or there is uncertainty, then the subjunctive is used. Saldré aunque llueva. I will go out although it may rain. Aunque sea difícil, yo intentaré hacerlo. Although it may be difficult, I will try doing it. Aunque no me guste ella, pero iré a la fiesta con ella. Although I may not like her, but I will go to the party with her. Por mucho que estudies, no aprobarás el examen. No matter how much you study, you will not pass the exam. After acaso, tal vez, or quizás, and ojalá, these expressions express a possibility or hypothesis. Subjunctive is used with them. These expressions can take up the indicative depending upon the conviction of the speaker. Indicative cases are tal vez volverán mañana los alumnos a pedir donación. Perhaps the student will return tomorrow to ask for donation. In this sentence, there is more certainty that the students are returning the next day and hence indicative is used. Seguramente nos veremos el sábado. Very likely, we will meet on Saturday. Particularly with seguramente, one has to be alert because it doesn't mean surely, rather it refers to a high probability of something happening. Posiblemente ellos llegan mañana por la mañana. Perhaps they arrive tomorrow morning. ¿Acaso están en el club de deportes? Perhaps they are at the sports club. Let's now see the subjunctive formations with these expressions. ¿Acaso ella me visite esta noche? Perhaps she will visit me tonight. Ha llamado a decir que está enfermo. ¿Acaso esté en casa? Y da esta excusa para no ir al trabajo. He has called to say that he is sick. Perhaps he is at home and gives an excuse for not coming to work. ¿Sabes dónde están los niños? No. ¿Acaso lo sepa Marta? Do you know where are the kids? No. Perhaps Marta knows. Hoy no ha venido el profesor. Quizás él esté enfermo. The professor has not come today. Perhaps he's sick. Quizás te cases, quizás no. Perhaps you will get married, perhaps not. Tal vez yo te pueda ayudar. Perhaps I can help you. Tal vez mañana sea solo un recuerdo. Perhaps tomorrow it will be only a memory. Tal vez no pensaron en esto. Maybe they didn't think about it. A lo mejor is an expression which means perhaps, but interestingly, it is used only with the indicative and doesn't admit the use of the subjunctive. A lo mejor llueve mañana. Perhaps it rains tomorrow. Si mañana hace sol, a lo mejor podemos ir a la playa. If tomorrow it is sunny, perhaps we can go to the beach. Ojalá is an interjection of Arabic origin and invokes the name of Allah. It means, may God grant that, and expresses great desire. It can be translated as, I hope to God, I hope, or if only. Ojalá le toque la lotería. May God grant that you win the lottery. In indefinite expressions with quiera, many words are made indefinite by adding suffix quiera. Such words are followed by the subjunctive quien quiera que, cuando quiera que, donde quiera que, como quiera que, and cualquiera que. Quien quiera que seas, no importa. Whoever you are, it does not matter. Cuando quiera que él vuelva, yo lo estaré esperando. Whenever he may return, I will be waiting for him. Donde quiera que vayas, no verás tal belleza. Wherever you may go, you will not see such beauty. Como quiera que nosotros trabajemos, él dirá que hay mejor manera. However we may work, he will say that there is a better way. Cualquiera que estudie este libro podrá aprender fácilmente. Anyone who reads this book will be able to learn easily. With K, there is subjunctive added and it expresses a wish or desire in the shorter form beginning with K. Que tengas un buen día. Have a good day. Que lo pases muy bien. Have a good time. Que aproveche. Enjoy your meal. Que te vayas. Get out. Que te salga bien el examen. May you do well in the exam. The present perfect subjunctive is formed by using the present subjunctive of the auxiliary verb haber and the past participle. Haber conjugations in the present subjunctive haya, hayas, haya, hayamos, hayáis, hayan go along with the participle of the verb. The present perfect subjunctive is used when a verb requiring the subjunctive in the main clause is in the present, future, or present perfect. You must have noticed that the same holds true for the regular present subjunctive as well. So what is the difference between the two? The present subjunctive is issued when the dependent clause in the present or future, while the present perfect subjunctive is used when the dependent clause is in the past. Mi hermano duda que yo haya leído su secreta carta. My brother doubts that I have read his secret letter. Me alegro de que hayáis disfrutado de las vacaciones en España. I am happy that you all have enjoyed your vacations in Spain. With negative creer, We know the dependent clause takes the subjunctive. No creo que ellos hayan llegado. I don't believe that they have arrived. No creerá que tú hayas llegado. He won't believe that you have arrived. Lamento que ellas no hayan podido venir a la fiesta. I regret that they haven't come to the party. Es bueno que hayamos hablado. It is good that we have talked. Now we have learnt almost everything about the topics we did in the last 5 modules. We need to do more exercises to learn how to use them. Once learned, they are fun to use. Thank you. Gracias.